You're listening to 5 Minutes of English with Laura Pickens, a short podcast about the way we actually talk, like for real. Effective efficiency. Hi, my name's Laura. I'm an American living in Russia, and I have been working as a language instructor for almost 17 years. Can you imagine? Specifically here in Russia. Not only do I have things like the English Grammar in Use book by Raymond Murphy completely memorized, I can give English lessons at the drop of the hat. Or I work as a speech coach where I help people speak English better. Today's episode, we are going to be looking at two words when translated into Russian is the same word. So we need to look at the differences between the words effective and efficient. While they sound very similar, there are some key differences between them. And considering how important, especially the word is efficient, to the American mindset, I think it's worth it to make a difference between the two in your understanding. So, the way to understand it, effective is worried about the result. Does it give a result? Efficient is how easy it was to get to that result. Something can be both effective and efficient, but it can also be effective and inefficient, and vice versa. And by vice versa, I mean we're switching the two words, and I could say something can be ineffective but efficient. That's from one of my previous episodes. For example, a 3-hour meeting that solves a problem is effective. It has a result, but it's not efficient. It took a lot of time to get there. A 10-minute meeting where everyone's shaking hands but nothing gets done is efficient, but it's not effective. Doesn't create a result, but it didn't really take a lot to do it. Studying English for 5 hours but remembering nothing is not effective. Speaking badly but being understood is effective. I don't know how much energy went into it because that's not really important. So, what I mean about efficiency is important to American mindset. I think it's one of the greatest pushes behind our innovation. Americans love to be efficient because they want to make as much work as they can in the shortest amount of time. They're always trying to make their systems more streamlined because that's what gives you a competitive advantage. This is true about my own mindset. I often say things like inefficiency is sinful, which is why I'm very good at using programs to do automated things in my business. And when I look at, for example, Russians who still keep track of their money with pen and paper, it makes me have pain in my brain because it's so inefficient. So you will see the word efficient used a lot in business. Let's look at some more examples from business. We need a more efficient process. What does that mean? Does it mean that things are not being done? No, you are still having results, you can assume. But the problem is that there's a lot of wasted time and steps and it feels like we can make the system work faster with less energy and less money and maybe get the same result. This strategy wasn't effective. I don't know how much energy we put into it, but what we were hoping to achieve, we did not do. We didn't get the customers we wanted. We didn't have the sales we wanted. This marketing campaign was effective, but not efficient. We sold as much as we wanted to, but it took way too much effort to get there. These words are kind of good for softening up what you want to say. For example, if you want to tell somebody this didn't work, a softer way to say it would be that wasn't effective. So let's look at some sentences where we would use this. This medicine is very effective at reducing pain. This argument isn't effective. You're not convincing anyone. The training program was extremely effective. Employees improved quickly. And about efficient. She's a very efficient worker. She finishes everything in half the time. This washing machine is energy efficient. Who knows if your clothes will be clean, but it won't take a lot of energy to do it. He's very efficient with his time. He never wastes a minute. Now let's look at some examples where you could use both, but the meaning is different. The meeting was effective. It solved our problem. The meeting was efficient. It was short and well organized. His communication style is effective. People understand him. His communication style is efficient. He says a lot with very few words. This way of studying is effective. You will actually learn. This way of studying is efficient. You will learn without wasting time. You can see the overlap and how these could mean close to the same thing. The difference is effective result, efficient, effort. That's it for this week, guys. I'll be back next week with another look into English as Russians need to know it. We talk about grammar, we talk about vocabulary, we talk about pronunciation, and we talk about culture. The things you're not going to get from your regular textbooks, from an insider look who understands English as a native speaker, but who also has a deep understanding of the Russian mindset and language. I have more information on my website, which is laurapickens.ru, which you can find in the description. And with that, guys, I will see you next week.